Welcome to the show, sports fans. This is the Treasure Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in another edition of the Treasure Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we talk District 3 activities week in, week out in the state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Baney. We are joined by our District 3 resident and expert, Logan Green. Yo, what's up, Logan? What's going on?
Hey, Brandon. Good, man. Not much. Just a little crazy that we're already down to the end of the season, right? We've got district starting, and I was talking to somebody, and I said, hey, because I do the advertising stuff here, and I was talking to somebody saying, hey, it's state tournaments. I need your stuff, all cute and silly, but then I'm like, no, I need it. It's in 2.5 weeks. 3 weeks, right? Like 3 weeks from today, there will probably be a state football tournament game, and state volleyball will have started. Just crazy that it's right here.
I'm not sure I'm ready for it. We've to borrow a phrase, we've gotten to the pointy end of the stick, Logan.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's gonna start.
But it's always the funnest part of the year, I think, right? Is when you get to. I think the beginning is very fun, but then there's excitement, but then when you get here, it's you've got the best teams left standing, and that's always makes it the competition a lot better when you're fighting for a trophy at the end.
That's right. Well, we talked about on last week's show, the postseason has arrived. Postseason golf. We kind of recapped all the district golf action from last week. State golf is coming up Friday and Saturday. We're recording this on Thursday, October 5th. So next week, we'll have a full recap and rundown of what happened at the state golf tournaments. Again, the 4A state golf tournament is at the University of Idaho golf course in Moscow. 5A state tournament for golf is at the Lewiston Country Club, and we will have the full recap of all of that action on next week's Prepcast, Logan. But now the other sports are starting to get involved in the postseason as well. District soccer action started over in East Idaho on Tuesday. It starts in the Treasure Valley, kind of starting tonight and tomorrow night in some places. But yeah, postseason soccer has arrived as well.
Yeah, we've already got district soccer that's going to kick off. Friday, there's a lot of district soccer here, at least in the 5A boys tournament. Pretty much, anybody that's in that play-in match is going to play there, and then the other games will start on Saturday. So this weekend gets hot and heavy here in the Treasure Valley.
Yes, it does. So if you are watching the video version of this Prepcast on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel or Facebook page, first of all, hit that like button and share this if you would, so other people can find it a little easier. But also, I'm going to be sharing the brackets up on the screen so you can see exactly what's happening, especially with that 13-team 5A SIC. It'll be very helpful. If you're listening to this on IdahoSports.com or wherever you download your podcasts, it's all good. You can follow along. We have all the district tournament brackets on our homepage at IdahoSports.com. I shouldn't say we have all of them. We have most of them. We have most. We do not have yet the 4A District 3 bracket. So hey, any 4A soccer people out there that are listening, Bishop Kelly, Caldwell, wherever you're at, hey, if you could send me those brackets, that would be excellent. I'll get them up on the website, IdahoSports.com. So I will go ahead and share my screen, Logan. Let's start in girls soccer, because that actually gets started
today.
Yeah, today, right?
Yeah.
Let me double check this. Paul Kingsbury, our boss, said he fixed the bracket, but he really put Thursday, October 6th, which is not right. That is because today is Thursday, October 5th.
So is it actually October 6th, or is it actually Thursday?
Yeah. So you want a little behind the scenes of how things work here at IdahoSports.com. This will be good. I'm going to peel back the curtain here, Logan. A little behind the scenes. So I put all the district brackets up on the website and get them ready to go. And then Paul comes in if there's like things that get changed, dates or times or whatever. He kind of comes in and corrects that. And so he sent me an email going, hey, I corrected the 5A girls soccer bracket the dates and times changed. And so I said, okay, cool. Sounds good. And now I'm just looking at it really in depth for the first time. And so I'm like, oh, okay, let me actually see.
Yeah.
Friday, October 6th. Okay. So
same day. So boys and girls, pretty much everybody's playing tomorrow.
yes. So that's good behind the scenes, because I'm sure Paul did this at like 2:00 in the morning. Like that's the other thing too, Logan. You and I are
he
more
does his best work is 2 in the morning.
Yeah, more behind the scenes, because people, I don't think people really know a ton about, how we operate here. You and I are more morning people. We kind of work during the day, and then at night, we're asleep. Paul's kind of the opposite. He's like a night owl.
He is. He likes to work at night, and that's some people work great. Other places I've worked too. I had a boss trying to get me on a conference call at 11 o'clock at night, and I said no. I'm not doing that. I'm not. That's not okay. So, but it's just people are just different, right? And so it is funny. There are different people on our team.
Yeah, one of my friends from high school, his wife works for a telehealth company, but they're based in Australia. So she's having meetings at like 10 o'clock at night sometimes and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Ouch.
Yeah. Okay, I've got that bracket fixed now. This has been really thrilling podcasting for people that are listening. All right, so here is the 5A SIC girls soccer bracket, Logan. First round, or the play-in matches, I should say, start Friday, October 6th. Owyhee and Rocky Mountain will host the play-in matches, and then Rocky and Mountain View will host the double elimination tournament, Logan. So right away, who got buys? The top 3 seeds: Boise the 1, Timberline the 2, Owyhee the 3. They all got buys into the double elimination portion of the bracket. And so you have, and we should mention, Logan, typically there are 13 teams in the 5A SIC, but because Nampa decided to play an independent schedule this year, and we talked about that a little bit at the start of the season, this is only a 12-team bracket. So really, the top 4 seeds got buys. Eagle, the number 4 seed, also got a bye into that double elimination part of the bracket. So what are the matches? You've got number 8 Bora against number 9 Cuna. Number 6, Mountain View against number 11, Capital. Number 7, Middleton taking on number 10, Centennial. And number 5, Rocky Mountain just missed out on getting the bye. They will play the 12 seed Meridian. First thoughts when you look at this bracket, Logan?
Whenever I look, you look at the top and say, is anybody going to beat Boise? I think that's the main question. And with the bracket, and you can always, you can do it chalk, and that's the boring talk, right? But I like to look over here at the play-in and say, who out of the play-in do I think can make a run? And if I had to pick one, I'd say Rocky, right? I think Rocky, if anybody can make a run, that Rocky might be able to do it, right? A little, no pun intended, a little rocky season for them compared to usual. And they were right in the thick of things last year. And, sometimes teams just have a couple of bumps, and Rocky's just the type of team that I think can figure it out at the end of the season and make a run. So I would watch out for them. If you're looking for somebody in the play-in round to make a run, watch out for Rocky.
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible what Rocky's been able to do, because they suffered a couple of season-ending injuries to like important players really before the season even started. And so they were kind of dealt a short hand right out of the gates. And so to see what they've been able to do and overcome that adversity has certainly been impressive. I'm looking at Mountain View as the 6th seed there, Logan. They went 5-5-1 in league play this year. They played a lot of these teams that are above them really tough. I mean, they lost to Eagle 2-0. They lost to Timberline 1-0. They lost to Owyhee 1-0. They lost to Rocky 2-0. So I don't know. We talk about this a lot, especially in the postseason. It seems like in soccer, you can lose to all these teams in the regular season and even get, behind the 8 ball for 95% of the match. But if you have a 5-minute stretch where you're on the aggressive and you find your way into the back of the net, all of a sudden you could be moving on. So I would say keep an eye on Mountain View as well, that number 6 seed also. But
Yeah, I think it was at State in 3A a couple of years ago. It was like the 7 seed and the 5 seed were in the championship, something like that. Like the 1 and the 2 didn't even make it to the consolation final. Like they lost it. Just anything can happen.
That's right. From this tournament, Logan, 4 teams will definitely get in, with the potential of it being 6. The 5th and 6th place teams will play state play-in matches. 5th place team will play the runner-up from the East, and the 6th place team will play the runner-up from the North. There was a little bit of crossover this year. For example, Madison tied for second along with Thunder Ridge over in the East, and Madison played, for example, Timberline earlier this year and battled them to a 0-0 draw. They lost to Rocky by just a goal, 3-2. So if it's Madison in that play-in match, I mean, it's not a guarantee you're going to win there. I think up north is an easier path. I think there's an actual easier path for the 2nd or the 6th place team rather than the 5th. But
yeah, the play-in game with the East Idaho team, it always is in every sport. It seems like it's just, that conference is smaller in terms of teams, and so their 3rd place team is probably on par or maybe better than your 6th or 7th over here.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not even sure who gets that 2nd spot out of the North. Lewiston won the league title, but Coeur d'Alene and Lake City also look very good. Lake City, of course, was the number 1 seed last year at state, and so they lost a couple of high-powered players off that team, and they took 3rd in their league standings this year. But I would say, just keep an eye out for Lake City as well. They lost in the semifinals last year to Centennial 1-0, very famously. So I don't know. It should be a fun bracket. I think I'll predict 5 Treasure Valley teams make it. What are you going with?
Yeah, I would do the 4 here, the 1 play in, and then I think that's a good number. I'm just going to make it easy and agree that I don't think there's anything to argue with there.
Yeah, you're so agreeable, Logan. Okay, so that's the 5A SIC girls. Let's go to the 5A SIC boys bracket, Logan. These matches also start on Friday, October 6th. This is a true 13 team. Nobody planned independent schedules or anything like that, so only the top 3 seeds get buys. That would be Rocky Mountain, the number 1, Timberline, the number 2, Boise, the number 3. We talked about this league a lot during the regular season and how bunched it was at the top. Those top 3, I mean, Timberline and Rocky both went 10-1-1. Rocky wins the quote-unquote tiebreaker, which means Timberline gets put on the same side of the bracket as Boise. So that, to me, is where the conversation starts with that top 3.
Yeah, and you look down the list, and there are a lot of teams, I mean, even to the middle, where Bora only lost twice in conference, Eagle with 3, Centennial with 3. There's a lot going on, and I think there are a variety of teams that could come out of this on top, and we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, even we talked about it last week a little bit that Bora only had the 1 conference loss, and we were, saying we'll see where they stack up. They've got to play Timberline at the end of the week. They lost to Timberline on Monday, 5-0, but they had tied Rocky earlier. They tied Hawaii earlier. So who knows, Brandon, especially if you get a tie, right? They had 5 of those in the regular season. It comes down, it goes to overtime, like one little mistake, it comes to a shootout, and then who knows, when it comes down to it. That's also a dangerous team in the tournament just because of all I think the tie is a great equalizer here in soccer.
Yeah, it is very interesting for sure. So the play-in matches will be held at Centennial and Meridian, and then Centennial and Meridian will also host the double elimination portion. But your play-in matches are number 4 Centennial against number 13 Cuna, number 5 Eagle against number 12 Nampa, number 6 Bora against number 11 Capital, number 7 Meridian against number 10 Middleton, and the 8-9 is Hawaii and Mountain View. So you kind of like Bora as your dark horse coming from the play-in matches?
That's my dark horse. I think Timberline is who I like to win it. But watch out for Bora. I think that they they could beat somebody they're not supposed to beat, quote, by seeding, right? But they'll be a lower seed most of the way, if not the entire way, throughout the tournament. And you just look at it and say they didn't lose a lot. They didn't. That doesn't mean they won a ton, right? In terms of the ties, but if you can battle to a draw, right, and get there where it's 5 shots and 5 shots, that it's anybody's game at that point. It doesn't. You can throw the records out the window.
Yeah. I'll give you my dark horse. I'm going to say Owyhee at that number 8 seed, Logan. I think they're lurking. They have had some really close matches this year. Bora tied everybody this year. They tied Bora 0-0. They lost to Rocky by 2, 5-3. So that's your number 1 seed right there. They just on Monday in their regular season finale lost to Centennial, the 4 seed, but it was 2-1. And so it was a very close match. I think Owyhee they've done a lot of on-the-job training this year, and I think they're slowly starting to figure it out. It wouldn't surprise me to see Owyhee knock off a team or two and get one of those bids. That's the team I'm keeping an eye on at the number 8 slot. How many teams get into state, Logan? Again, just like the girls, it could be as many as 6, could be as few as 4. Over in East Idaho, have you looked at those standings? It's nuts.
I have not.
Thunder Ridge went 3-0-3. Highland went 2-0-4. Madison went 2-1-3. So Highland tied Thunder both times and tied Madison both times, and Thunder and Madison tied once.
So who knows what's going to happen over there?
Yeah. So I will say Highland and Madison did host Boise and Rocky Mountain for non-conference games earlier in the season. They both got swept, but Highland only lost to Boise 2-1 and lost to Timberline 2-0. So I would say Highland is maybe the more dangerous team there, right. But I think we'll see 6 get in.
Yeah. The 4 automatic and the 2 play-ins. That's definitely, and that seems to be what happens every year. It seems to always be an SIC championship.
Yes, definitely.
For better or for worse, right? And some teams, will only, you theoretically could make a run to the state championship and only play SIC teams the whole time.
That's right. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. Let's drop to the 3A level. Like I said, I don't have the 4A brackets yet, so my apologies. Let's start on the girls' side, Snake River Valley Conference Tournament, Logan. The bracket is, for the most part, filled in here. Fruitland is the 1 seed. Homedale is the 2. We are waiting still on 3 and 4, and Payette is locked in as that number 5. We were waiting on the last match of the season between Weiser and McCall Donnelly. They play tonight, Logan, Thursday the 5th, so we don't know who's going to go where. And actually, it's Weiser playing Homedale. So if Weiser wins, I think they get that 3 seed. If they lose, they drop down to the 4. So that's what we're waiting for there. But the story here is Fruitland and Homedale. And we've talked about this a lot. Homedale is a team that's kind of on the rise. Fruitland is the more established power here. And I still think McCall Donnelly is lurking in the shadows as well. But what do you think?
Yeah, you know what? Homedale, those two played earlier this week, and Homedale, it was a tie, right? It was a draw. Homedale was able to tie it up. Well, actually, Fruitland tied it up late in that one. Could go either way, Brandon.
Yes. So Fruitland and Homedale played on Monday night, Monday, October 1st. They battled to a 1-1 draw. And it was scoreless at halftime. It took us into the second half. Jackie Zavala scored for Homedale in the 63rd minute. And then, the match is only 80 minutes long, Logan. And so Fruitland had 1-0, gets the equalizer from Riley George with just 2 minutes to go in the 78th minute.
And that's a, backbreaker if you're Homedale, and a huge sigh of relief for Fruitland. But I think that just proved that Homedale's here, right? And I think that they're going to be a problem, not just in the conference tournament, but maybe at state as well, that they're going to be a factor to deal with.
and this is important because only the district champion is guaranteed a spot at state. Now, second place has a chance to get in via a play-in match, but and I would feel good about either one of those teams in a play-in match, but
you don't want to put yourself in that position.
That's right. The runner-up would have to play the runner-up from up north, District 1-2. And so you're talking about, Timberlake's up there. They're pretty decent. Coeur d'Alene Charter. Like, what if Coeur d'Alene Charter stubs their toe up north?
Yeah, and
in
then
districts?
You have to play them.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I don't know. You definitely want to win that district tournament if you can. We'll keep an eye on it. The first round of matches are on Saturday, October 7th, and it'll be Payette against either Weiser or McCall Donnelly. On the boys' side, Logan, it is all locked in. McCall Donnelly the 1, Payette the 2, Fruitland 3, Weiser 4, Ambrose 5. Ambrose and Weiser will play in a play-in match Saturday at 12:30. Payette and Fruitland are set for a semi, and the winner of Weiser and Ambrose will get to play the Vandals in the other semi. But to me, this is all about McCall Donnelly.
Yeah, I think that's the way it's been all year, and I think that's exactly how it's going to go down this year. That the Vandals have a chance to make a run at state this year as well, and again, just tough that you definitely want to get that one auto bid, right? You want to make sure you win that and you get the bid, and you don't have to worry about playing a Saturday play-in game.
Yeah, the Saturday play-in game here on the boys' side would be against the third place team from District 4, Logan. So you're talking about more than likely Buell, probably. Maybe it could be. So Kimberly is undefeated in that league. The Cutthroats, right? Sun Valley Community School, they took second. But again, let's say the Cutthroats slip at districts, and now you're having to play Sun Valley in a play-in match to go to state. That's tough, man. I don't know.
Yeah, not what you want.
Yeah. But McCall Donnelly had a great regular season, and they check into districts with an overall record of 8-2-2. That's pretty darn good. They went 5-2-1 in league play, and what was a pretty balanced conference this year. So we'll have to wait and see, but. That's the district soccer action, Logan. We'll have district volleyball brackets for you kind of starting next week. And of course, we're making that slow march towards the football postseason as well, Logan. I was in the lab all day yesterday compiling the bracketology. I finally came up for air around 4:00 and got it done. But the initial exercise was kind of interesting. There were some outliers in the data, of course, because not everybody has even started conference play yet, but over these next 3 weeks, we're going to find out a lot. I thought we could just go kind of classification by classification and talk about kind of big picture things that we saw. But
yeah, a lot of it I think is very, like you said, there's a lot of outlying stuff that might not happen, and things are going to change. But I think generally it's a pretty good representation of what we're going to see. I think the 5A SIC, again, you just went off of Max Prep's rankings. And I think if there's any movement that's going to happen, it's going to be in that league, just because of how many people are beating other people. And I feel that somebody's going to have an auto bid, what in their mind view, it's going to get stolen. And to think like Middleton, right? You've got them down as, because they're going to finish third more than likely, right? And they'll play the 4 on the other side, which I think right now is Bora. And you got it, Bora winning that game based on Max Prep rankings. Somebody in there, I feel like a 4 or a 5 in that Rivers division could. That they're going to be a good team, and it's going to be hard for them to. I don't know what I'm trying to say. That it's very possible that you could see one of them pull an upset right over a Rocky Mountain if it got to that position.
So the big change this year is, in the years past, that last 5A at large bid was always given to the team with the highest winning percentage against 5A opponents. That has been changed this year too. We're just going to give it to the team with the highest Max Preps ranking. And because of that always favored those Boise schools, because they get to fill out their schedule with pretty much exclusively 5A opponents, while East Idaho, North Idaho, they've got to play a lot of the 4A schools
Yeah.
that are around. So
Yeah.
it always benefited the state of Ada. No, I'm just kidding. It always benefited those Boise schools. So it's a little different this year. And I'll say, looking at the initial Max Preps rankings, Madison was ranked higher than I thought they would be. It's actually very close between Madison and Middleton for that at-large spot. And if you change the data, let's say Middleton would win that game against Bora. This is all hypothetical stuff.
Yeah.
Bora would get that at large still, but again, Madison is very close. They're right there. And so I guess if you're a Treasure Valley fan, I still think that at large spot is going to go to a team from District 3. But if you want to be certain, you got to start cheering for Madison to bite the dust hard.
And they do play Rigby.
And Highland.
And here's the thing. Yeah, it's like you look at that Highland game, and that's going to be tough. It's tough for anybody, right? And the thing is, the way that the SIC performed out of conference, it bodes well, right? Meridian went and beat Highland. Rocky went and beat Coeur d'Alene. Thunder Ridge came over here and got beaten by Middleton, right? The SIC holds the wins out of conference right now. And I think in terms of rankings, Madison, what if they pull an upset over a Rigby, right? Let's say they all, Highland beats Rigby and Madison, but then Madison beats Rigby. Where does that fit in,
If that happens, then you're looking at Madison taking that auto bid. Rigby would be ahead of both Middleton and Bora. So
it's like, how far would they fall if they have a lot? There's just too much to play into that last spot. The key thing is just win, right? And there's no doubt. Like you said, I'm pretty confident. But here's the thing: if let's just say it's Rocky that loses. Let's say. Who did you have them playing in their cross match? Rocky would play.
They would play Cuna.
Okay, so let's just say Cuna storms in there and pulls an upset, right? Cuna gets the bid. I don't think that knocks Rocky off in terms of where they would be, right? I think they all of a sudden get it. So if there is an upset, that would not be good for East Idaho. But over here, it wouldn't make too much of a difference. If you're one of those top teams, if you're a Mountain View, a Boise, you're probably okay even if you get upset. And that would also change everything for a team that's in the middle that lost, and they were, quote, counting on that at-large bid.
Yep. Okay, 4A. There's 2 auto bids available from District 3, and then there are 8 at-large bids available. Bishop Kelly, Skyview, I think you can pretty much lock in those 2 as the auto bid winners. The only other team that we had in the field from District 3 was Emmett, and Emmett would be and again, they seed them 1 through 16. Bishop Kelly would be the 2 seed if the playoffs started today. Skyview would be the 7. Emmett would be the 11, and they would have to travel to Shelley for the opening round. I think this is right. I think there's only 3 teams that probably deserve to get into the playoffs. Columbia is very close, but man, that loss to Valley View is really going to come back and hurt them. So.
Yeah, and Valley View got beat by Burley, who is sitting at that 16th spot, and that's going to hold them. That's going to hold that spot, and the computer is going to look at that and say, you didn't beat the 16, and you lost to a team that lost to the 16. It's gonna favor Burley in that, and they've got a really tough schedule in their conference as well. So yeah, probably those 3. That's what's going to happen from the Treasure Valley.
I mean, basically 4A and 3A. 4A takes 16 of 24 to the playoffs. 3A takes 14 of 19. Like, if you didn't get in, like, you just got to do some internal reflection.
Well, that's what you wrote it in your thing, right? You have a look in the mirror, because March Valley is in right now, and they are 0-6. Yeah. So if you don't get in 3A, it's your own fault.
That's right. 3 auto bids available in 3A. I think it's set. Homedale, Weiser, McCall Donnelly beating Fruitland 2 weeks ago. I think locked up that 3 seed. They played very tough against Weiser. Weiser won 20-7 over McCall Donnelly last Friday. But look at this, Logan. 3 at-large bids available. Fruitland would get one of those right now at 1-5 because of the challenging schedule that they put together for themselves.
Yeah, and you know what? They've got them playing at Timberlake in the first round, and that's one I don't know if Fruitland can't win. They might be able to pull that one off. McCall Donnelly beat them, and Sugar Salem just went up and beat them pretty bad last week. Fruitland might be able. We've seen it, Fruitland, where they've gotten in and gone on the road, and then beaten whoever they played. Down like a couple years ago, I was there. They played Kimberly in the first round, and they took care of business. Last year, I think it was at Snake River that they went over and played and took care of business over there.
Yes.
They are used to going on the road in the first round because the conference is so strong over here. The SRV is so. You have the 2 of the top 3 teams in the state without a doubt, in Homedale and Weiser and McCall Donnelly. Now throw them into the mix. You have one of the toughest schedules in the state. And when you play somebody that's finally in the middle and not at the top, you know what? You've been prepared for that. So Fruitland, if they get in, I would watch for them to get a win, even if it's against one of those top teams.
Yep. 2A, all that's guaranteed is your district champion, which, I think is going to be Melba for our projections. We had Nampa Christian only because Nampa Christian is 2-0 and Melba's 1-0. That'll, of course, even out. But there are 6 at-large bids available, and I think regardless, Melba or Nampa Christian gets one of those at-large spots. Cole Valley just misses out on the cut light, and Marsing actually is slightly ahead of Cole Valley Christian in the Max Preps ranking. So Marsing just misses the cut as well. The wrinkle here, Logan, is that no league can get more than 3 teams into the playoffs. You can't take more than 2 of those at-large bids. So there's actually a team in East Idaho, Malad, right now that because there's so many teams ahead of them in their own conference, they won't get in, which favors teams from District 3. It favors teams from District 6 up north. So
and we've seen this before where teams that are not getting in that finish 2nd or 3rd in their conference to a last place team in District 5, like a Malad or an American Falls who has 2 wins on the season, but a team over here has 5 and they don't get in just because of that ranking. Now, traditionally, historically, how has that gone? Those teams typically have won those games, and it's been accurate. But this year it's a little different. Melba went and got the job done, which, by the way, the media poll, who's voting in that thing? Okay, I'm going to stamp it, Brandon, and I know you see, again, the media people, you're not looking at East Idaho scores if you're in Coeur d'Alene and vice versa, right? Who is voting to put North Fremont in front of Melba? They need to stop it now. That is ridiculous. They beat them on the field of play. Stop it. Enough.
2 weeks in a row.
I'm going to claim to that and say that's outrageous. If I'm Melba, I'd be mad. Right? Again, it doesn't matter, right? It's just a piece of paper and it's just people talking that don't actually have anything to do with the game. But if I was Melba, I wouldn't want to play them because I feel like they're just going to come out hot and say, oh, okay, you guys, you don't think we're very good. I'm going to pound you and I'm going to show you that I'm good. So I think Melba's got a gripe.
I voted Melba ahead of North Fremont was my number 1 team in the poll from the start of the year, preseason, all the way up until they lost. And since then, I've had West Side 1, Melba 2, North Fremont 3. That's how it should be. Yeah. And I can't.
There's going to be some shakeup there, right? Declo plays West Side this week, and that's going to rumble some stuff around. Declo's really good. West Side's really good. But Melba, stop putting North Fremont in front of Melba. That's what. If you're voting for that, stop it.
I hear you. 8-man's a little more cut and dried. 1A D1 is going to get 2 bids. They get 2 auto bids. Notice is going to win the conference. They're going to be your 4 seed overall. They're going to get a first round bye. They're going to get a home playoff game. It's going to be a nice deal for Notice. Who gets the second spot? I don't know. We've got Idaho City in there right now because they're 1-0. They beat Wilder last week. I think it ultimately will come down to the final game of the season. Rimrock is going to play Idaho City. I picked Rimrock to win that game last year. Idaho City won. I'm kind of leaning Rimrock again this year. I'll be honest, Logan, I don't know anything about Idaho City. We've reached out. We've tried to get info. We've tried to get a roster. But nothing. It's like Fort Knox up there. I have no idea what's going on in Idaho City, man. But we'll see.
And an interesting thing you put out there is there's 22 teams in 1A Division 1, and Wilder is 22nd, Idaho City is 20, and Rimrock's 19. So 3 of the bottom 4 are right here in District 3, and one of them is going to get a bid, and that is definitely a bid steal from a team that's it is what it is. A team that's better than them is going to sit at home while they go. So.
Yeah, no need to belabor the point there.
Yeah.
It is what it is. 1A D2, Logan, 3 bids available. It's going to come down to Council, Garden Valley, Tri-Valley, Horseshoe Bend. Those 4 are going to fight for the 3 bids. There's no at-larges, so it really is going to be those 4. So we're going to find out because they all start to play each other now. So check this scenario out. Garden Valley is 2-0 in conference play, but they wrap up with Horseshoe Bend, Council, and Tri-Valley. There's a world where they lose all 3 of those games and they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah. And that they've looked very good. And in the rankings, they've been second or third most of the season. I think a lot of people have. Kendrick is the 1, and they're the 1. And Camas County has been the 2. But Garden Valley has been around that 3 or 4 mark most of the year. You know, Dietrich was around there, and then Garden Valley beat Dietrich to start the year. And so Garden Valley, and I think they deserve to be in that spot, but they're going to have to prove it here. And, you know, we're going to see them 2 weeks in a row. We have 2 of those games on Idaho Sports. We've got the game this week, Garden Valley and Horseshoe Bend, which is going to play a factor. And then next week, Garden Valley and Council. So you'll be able to watch some of those games unfold here over the next few weeks.
Yeah, Horseshoe Bend, Garden Valley, and Tri-Valley all play each other over the final 3 weeks of the season, and that's going to be very compelling stuff.
Yeah.
A good team is going to be stuck at home for the playoffs out of those 3, so we'll keep an eye on all of it for sure. Bracketology will be back next week, updated bracketology based upon what happens this Friday night, and of course, as we get closer and closer to the playoffs, the picture will become more and more in focus. But Logan, postseason is here. I love talking postseason athletics with you.
Yeah, it's real fun. You know, lots of good stuff. I mean, this week we have a lot of games on our schedule that are going to factor postseason play. And so if you're ready to get a jump on it, we've got it right here. I mean, we've got we've got
a Waihe and Kuna.
Yeah, that's going to settle some of that crossover match because both of those teams will be involved. And then we've got the Horseshoe Bend against Garden Valley. I think it's the battle for the axe. They play for an axe. And so I'll be there. I'll see if I can get a picture of the winning team with the axe.
That'd be awesome.
And then I think, what do we have? Then we've got the big one.
Yeah.
Homedale and Weiser, which there might not be a better game in the state this weekend except for that one on Friday night. Homedale and Weiser right here on Idaho Sports.
That is 3 really juicy matchups. Waihe and Kuna Thursday night, October 5th. I don't even know who's playing on Thursday night football in the NFL, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's going to be better. And then Horseshoe Bend and Garden Valley Friday at 3:30 because Garden Valley doesn't have lights on their field, so they kick off in the afternoon. And then Weiser and Homedale at 7 o'clock. Logan, you do this right. You could watch all 3 games pretty much uninterrupted.
I think you can. I don't think you don't have to time it right. You just can, because I'm sure that game up there in Garden Valley, it starts at 3:30 kick. It'll be over 5:30, roughly, and then you can sit back and watch the Weiser-Homedale game. Which if you don't watch that, then that's your own fault, because it's going to be a good game. It always is, and it's going to tell us a lot, right, about the postseason, where Homedale stands, where Weiser stands, and you know what I like about it is Sugar Salem. They don't have a game like this. I know that they played 4A teams, but you know what? So did Homedale played. Who did they play in Pendleton a few weeks ago?
Sandpoint.
They've played a 4A team too. It's not, it is what they beat them. They both won. I don't look at that and say, oh, well, they've been playing. No. Weiser and Homedale get to play one of the top 3 teams in their own division and they get that experience, and Sugar Salem doesn't. You know, they're kind of, it's unknown to them until they get to the state championship and win it like they do. But that does not, you know, it's not a blowout. It's always close. And I think it really helps these Weiser and Homedales. And you know what? More than likely, this game is for home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Yep. And a bye in the first round.
Yeah, it's a huge game. It is one of the biggest postseason games that is out there, because more than likely the winner of this game, you know, they seem to play each other in the semifinals. We were there last year when these two teams played at Homedale in the semifinals. So more than likely, if you win this game, you're at home and you get to host the team, the other team in the semifinals. That's just the way it has shaken out. And so you definitely want to win the game on Friday night.
Yeah, Homedale comes in on a nice little win streak here. I think they have won the last 4 matchups, Logan. Even in the championship year for Weiser. Let me double check this. I don't want to be wrong, but
one of them won the regular season, and then somebody won the postseason matchup, I believe.
Yeah, so that was in 2021 when Weiser won the title. They lost to Homedale in the regular season. So yeah, they have the last laugh ultimately, but Homedale's on a nice little win streak in terms of regular season matchups for sure. So should be a good one.
It's at Homedale, so you know you look at that and say Homedale's got the home field advantage, but man, it'll be fun. I just don't know. Like we've seen them beat everybody they're supposed to beat, and so it's hard. It's always hard to gauge that, right? But then when they finally play each other, that one should be fun. That'll be a great game.
Definitely. If you want to see the full schedule of games that we have on tap for you this weekend, just click on the game streams tab at the homepage at IdahoSports.com. But we've got scores, schedules, brackets, all the stuff you need. You pretty much just got to check in every single day on IdahoSports.com. All right. Thanks for tuning into the Treasure Valley Prepcast, everybody. Logan, enjoy Garden Valley on Friday. Going to be a good time.
Yeah, it should be a fun game.
All right. Well, for Logan Green, I'm Brandon Baney, and we'll see you next time on IdahoSports.com.